Hello everyone, and welcome to lesson 13 of my long distance learning channel, Mr.Markoteach. On today's lesson, we're going to be continuing with Act 3. There is some prompts and questions to answer located on Google Classroom. Please be sure to hit submit when you are returning them, so I know that you have completed them and they will be graded. This will be looking at the banquet. There's a feast, a banquet going on, and Macbeth has invited all the Thanes. Obviously, Banquo does not show up because Banquo has been murdered. Macbeth knows this. The other Thanes do not. And Macbeth is talking about, like, wow, we have an empty seat. We really miss Banquo. And all of a sudden, he starts to hallucinate and thinks he is seeing the ghost of Banquo. None of the other Thanes can see it. Lady Macbeth is there. She cannot see it. And she tries to cover for his odd behavior. But this only now leads the Thanes to now questioning Macbeth's sanity, as well as did he kill Duncan? What is going on? Then it will flow into scene 5, which is believed to have not been written by many scholars. Believes Shakespeare did not write it. It's not really in his style. It doesn't flow in his way. It's kind of forced, they believe. But it does have to do with the witches, which would make sense for Shakespeare or that time because King James was into witchcraft, so he is the patron or the person sort of supporting Shakespeare's dramas, and this would make sense to please your patron. So of course you put things in there that he likes. So witchcraft and supernatural, that's going to really entice King James or elicit him into, wanting to support the theater and see this play. Let's see here. Shakespeare knew how to please King James. He also knew how to please his audience. His audience could be from the king and queen all the way down to very illiterate, uneducated paupers, poor people. His storytelling, his jokes, the violence in his plays, the romance, even the word play itself caused responses from all levels of society. It's similar in a way to if you ever go to a Disney movie and notice how you could have little kids all the way up through grandparents watching the show, and during certain parts only the little kids are laughing, or only the adults, or only the grandparents, sometimes just the teenager laughing, and of course often everyone is laughing. So Shakespeare in a sense does what Disney does now, and they can hit at different times to different pockets of the audience. That was basically an analogy. An analogy is a comparison between two things, typically for the purpose of explanation or clarification. An analogy is a noun, for those of you that care. We will also, after we look at scene 5, look at scene 6. The Thanes, or some Thanes, are now discussing out loud what is going on here with Macbeth. Something is quite amiss. You'll get some course hero analysis and summary explanations of scene 4, 5, and 6. I believe there was a movie version of the banquet scene, and then the two analysis from course hero.
My royal lord, you do not give the cheer. The feast is sold, that is not often vouched. While 'tis a making, 'tis given with welcome. To feast were best at home. From thence the sauce to meat is ceremony. Meeting were bare without it.
Sweet remembrance, sir. Now good digestion wait on appetite, and health on both.
May it please your highness. Sit.
Here had we now our country's honour roofed, were the graced person of our Banquo present, who may I rather challenge for unkindness than pity for mischance.
Absence, sir, lays blame upon his promise. Please your highness to grace us with your royal company.
Well, the table's full.
Here is a place reserved, sir.
Where?
Here, my good lord.
Which of you have done this?
What, my good lord?
Thou canst not say I did it. Never shake thy crawly locks at me!
Gentlemen, rise. His highness is not well.
Sit, worthy friends. My lord is often thus, and hath been from his youth. Pray you, keep seat. The fit is momentary. Upon a thought he will again be well. If much you note him, you shall offend him and extend his passion. Feed, and regard him not. Are you a man?
Aye, and a bold one that dare look on that which might have pulled the devil.
Oh, proper stuff. This is the very painting of your fear. This is the air-drawn dagger which you said led you to Duncan. Oh, these flaws and starts. Impostors to true fear would well become a woman's story at a winter's fire, authorized by her grandam. Shame itself, why do you make such faces? When all's done, you look but on a stool.
Prithee, see, there. Behold, look, lo. How say you?
What care I if thou canst nod? Speak too!
If charnel houses and our graves must send those that we bury back, our monument shall be the moors of kites.
Quite unmanned in folly.
If stand here, I saw him.
Fie for shame.
The times has been that when the brains were out, the man would die, and there an end. But now they rise again with 20 mortal murders on their crowns and push us from our stools.
My worthy lord, your noble friends do lack you.
I do forget. Do not muse at me, my most worthy friends. I have a strange infirmity which is nothing to those that know me. Come. Love and health to all. Then I'll sit down. Give me a drink. Feel full. I drink to the general joy of the whole table. And to our dear friend, Banquo, whom we miss. Would he were here. To all and him we thirst. And all to all.
Our duties and the pledge.
Abort! And quit my sight! Let the earth hide me! My bones are marrowless. My blood is cold. Thou hast no speculation in those eyes which thou dost glare with.
Think of this, good peers, that as a thing of custom, 'tis no other. Only it spoils the pleasure of the time.
What man dare? I dare. Approach thou like the rugged Russian bear, the armed rhinoceros, or the Hyrcan tiger. Take any shape but that, and my firm nerves shall never tremble, or be alive again. And dare me to the desert with thy sword. If trembling I inhabit, then protest me the baby of a girl. Hence, horrible shadow, unreal mockery. Hence! Why so? I am a man again. Pray you, sit still.
You have displaced the mirth, broke the good meeting with the most admired disorder.
So when Macbeth hears that Fleance survived, he starts to go bananas.
Hey, buddy!
A ghost! Let the earth hide thee! Thy bones are marrowless!
My husband's not feeling well, so I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. Sorry!
Everyone's here but Macduff! He's plotting against me! And he was. The Thanes discuss how Macduff fled to England to join forces with Malcolm for an overthrow.
Scotland can't have a crazy king!
So
Act 3, Scene 5 of Macbeth takes place upon the stormy heath, where the witches convene with the goddess of witchcraft, Hecate. The goddess is angry that they have been dealing with Macbeth without consulting her, and she declares that she will lead their meddling from now on. Declaring Macbeth a selfish, spoiled, and angry man, she tells the witches that they will all meet with Macbeth the next day at the pit of Acheron. She plans to show him visions that will lead to his undoing. Hecate thinks Macbeth is unworthy of the attention the witches have shown him. They have helped him become king, even though she thinks he is undeserving of their help and only interested in himself. Now she plans to create havoc for Macbeth by showing visions that will further play on his ambition. As in most good dramas with a plot and a prophecy, the protagonist will attempt to evade the prophecy. Hecate knows this. Because Hecate seems unnecessary to the plot, many critics have argued that her scenes were written by English playwright Thomas Middleton, not Shakespeare. In Act 3, Scene 6 of Macbeth, Lennox meets with another Thane and talks about the strange events and suspicious deaths that have been occurring recently. He mentions Duncan's murder, Banquo's killing, and Fleance's departure. He sarcastically concludes that Fleance must have murdered his father because he fled, like Malcolm and Donalbain. He talks about Macbeth killing Duncan's guards, and it becomes clear that he suspects Macbeth is behind all the killings. Both men refer to Macbeth as a tyrant. The other lord tells Lennox that Malcolm has been accepted into the English court and that Macduff is on his way there to find him and ask the English king for an army to depose Macbeth. Macbeth has also heard all of this and may be preparing for battle. The two pray for Macduff's success. When Lennox talks about Macbeth's grief over Duncan's death, his tone is sarcastic. Banquo's death has caused Lennox and the other lords to notice something suspicious about Macbeth. Everyone he proclaims to love somehow winds up dead. The conversation raises the question of whether Macbeth would have gotten away with his ploy if he had not murdered Banquo. Instead, suspicions are high. Macbeth's lords call him a tyrant behind his back and have begun plotting how to get rid of him.
I hope you enjoyed Act 3. Please be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Also, hit the notification bell if you want to know when the next video drops. Have a wonderful rest of the day or night, depending on when you are watching.